of what we tested so far and what we decided to do. So me and the kiddo filled this the other day, and it's kind of hard to tell probably on the video, but it puffs out quite a bit. So what we decided to do is go ahead and put the first layer of sheetrock on, and then I will basically do the same thing I did over there, but fill it in behind the sheetrock so that way the sheetrock can hold it in. And then we'll put the next piece of sheetrock on, which these ceilings are about 9 foot, so we're gonna have, you know, actually probably a little bit less than a foot on the top, because I think it's like 8 foot, 8 inches, whatever up there. But we'll put the next layer on, and then we'll fill it the rest of the way and tape it off. But I mean, honestly, just getting these two pieces of sheetrock on over here, I can already tell the difference in temperature in here. So I think it's gonna work out as far as our insulation. Had them do this basically because if you don't do spray foam in a container, for anyone out there looking to build a container, especially if you're in places like Texas, Florida, anywhere where it gets hot and humid, Brazil, wherever you might be in the world, your container is gonna sweat. If you just put this kind of stuff, this is what I'm actually using for my shower walls, and I'll show you that in a different video later whenever we do it. But if you put this kind of stuff just in here, then you have an air gap. Even if it's just a millimeter of an air gap, that moisture, your container is gonna get hot, you're gonna have humidity inside, and you're going to get perspiration on the inside of your walls of your container, which is gonna produce mildew and everything else, so you don't want that. So, like I said, what I did is I wanted an inch, but you know, regardless, or irregardless, whatever you want to say, any spray foam on the walls is going to keep it from perspiring. So that's why we did this. But like I said, we did that, and then we put the plastic on over the top, and you can see, you know, the spray foam underneath here. And then we're going to fill it full of, and what we're using is this stuff. It is basically sound thermal fire blow-in insulation, and I learned this from a guy on YouTube. I mean, he didn't use it the exact way I'm doing it, but good old Toro, this is brand new. It's basically a shredding leaf blower, so that way it sucks it up, takes it through my tube. I stick my tube, cut a little slit on here, stick my tube in there, and fills it right up. It works actually pretty dang good. I actually filled these two sections under the window because of course I wouldn't be able to get to them. And amazingly, even though I was filling right here, I watched it crawl. It was pretty cool. And it came all the way up to here, which is pretty neat. Actually, I got some way up there even, just from the air pressure blowing it up into the cavity. So, so like I said, this is gonna work pretty good. So right now, the job today is to get all the bottom levels on, and then I'm also gonna put one section on the roof. Basically the roof, I have 7 foot 10 inches between walls. So this is a 53 foot container. It's actually 8.5 feet wide. And since I did my studs differently than most people do, I didn't stick 2x4s inside and waste basically 6 inches, waste a foot of my interior space. So the way I did my studs, I actually have 7 foot 10 inches wall to wall, sheetrock to sheetrock, so which is awesome. Like I said, it's better than 7 feet. So gain an extra 10 inches. But anyway, like I said, we're gonna put a piece, you know, one full sheet up here on the roof, and then I'll blow in above that and blow in the rest of it and pray it doesn't fall down on me. But you know, we'll see what happens. All right, quick little FYI for anyone that might attempt to DIY this same type of blow-in insulation. So I was definitely correct in putting the sheetrock up first, because it holds everything in, doesn't let it poof out, and doesn't cause issues with my sheetrock if I go too far. Here I have just this short little distance from here down to the floor that I needed to insulate. For whatever reason, they are super airtight compared to, you know, the room over here. So there's not a lot of room for anything to move in there. Had a couple blowouts, as you see by my floor. And one of the issues I had was all my staples that I used to hold the plastic down were popping off of this because the pressure was so high that it pushed the plastic out. And when I put this sheetrock on, I was trying to do basically this sheetrock all the way up a full piece, but quickly found out that you can't do that. You have to basically leave as small of a gap as possible up here to finish filling these holes, and then go ahead and put your sheetrock up, like I said, as high as you can. So like over here, that has worked out great. Haven't had any issues. But here where I was trying to fill basically from this piece of sheetrock up, it was just coming out too much. And the problem it caused, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I got like 1/8 of an inch to maybe even 1/4 of an inch gap. This piece of sheetrock is that much higher. So when I tape this, it's gonna need a lot of mud to fill that up. But whenever I do the other side, which is gonna be the more visible side because that's gonna be the living room, you know, I'll make sure to do the same thing. I've got this 24-inch piece of sheetrock that I had left over from that other side, and I'll just put a full piece of sheetrock, 24-inch piece of sheetrock, just leave a tiny gap above there so I can fill it from that tiny gap, because that seems to be the best way to do it. So like I said, just wanted a little FYI, if you're gonna DIY this, get your sheetrock up as much as possible and just leave a tiny gap. Or I guess you can sheetrock the whole thing and then just cut a hole in your sheetrock and then fill that, you know, either way. But you know, but like I said, this is working good. Getting the sheetrock up to basically that level has been great. It was just this wall right here, because I had such a wide space from the top of the sheetrock up. I tried to fill it, and again, caused a little issue. I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of screws in this so it doesn't come away from the wall, and then, like I said, lots of mud on that gap, because I've got basically some of the insulation got underneath the plastic at the studs, and you know, might cause issues down the road, but it'll just be cosmetic, and hopefully it won't cause any issues, but we'll see. But anyway, like I said, just a quick note. I was doing some temperature monitoring, and so this area has basically, I'm gonna say 1 inch, but I know it's not 1 inch because everywhere I measure these guys didn't do 1 inch. But anyway, it's got spray foam, and then this area just has plastic, and then this area has the sheetrock put on. And I figured out that basically leaving this gap so I can put the hose up and do my blow-in insulation is the easiest way to do it, so I don't have issues like that wall has a dent in it because, well, I filled it all the way up and then it was hard getting the sheetrock on. So this seems to be the easiest way. So that way there's the smallest amount of gap that will bulge. I can spray in that way and fill that entire cavity. But anyway, back to the temperature measuring. So over here, 127, I think I was hitting 130. So that's where it's basically just spray foam. Now just moving to the sheetrock, drops at 10 degrees. Now, if I go down this way, so in this room, it's got sheetrock and it's got blow-in insulation, and basically drops at another 10 degrees. So definitely helps as far as having all that. And then I'm also going to do a top coat on the roof that is like a radiant barrier. Basically, it's a white paint. It's got elasticizers, if I'm saying that correctly, in it to help basically make the heat go away. And then we're thinking about the idea of possibly having on the roof like a rooftop deck. So if that happens, then we'll basically have the entire roof will be covered and shaded. Gave the roof a nice coat of white elastometric paint. It's probably gonna need at least a second coat, but we'll see how it works to keep the temperature down inside. I know I've been averaging 106 or so on the ceilings when it's, you know, about 100 degrees, and it's been 110 or so here lately. So see what it does.